Here we go. Here we go.
All right. So Elliott Shore Parks from WIP, 94 WIP. So numbers today for Jalen Hurts. Are we ready?
Oh, geez.
12 for 15, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception from Jalen. See, I'm keeping you guys up to speed on everything that's going on, man. Isn't it a beautiful thing in shorts? Welcome back in, everybody. Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Barrett Brooks, Derek Gunn, Rob Ellis hanging out with you on this hump day. All right, so let me give you a couple. I know you guys love this stuff. So this is from our own John McMullen. John, you can catch John every single day, Birds 365, JAKIBsports.com as well, with some awesome content there from John. But he tweets out offensive play of the day in 7-on-7 red zone work, where Hurts hits Quez Watkins on a back shoulder throw with Avonte Maddox draped all over him in coverage. The route from the slot as well, which makes it more impressive. So there's give you a little some kind of update right there on camp today.
I can't wait to see all this stuff coming out.
You want me to take it a step further?
Yeah. With the Hurts.
Here we go. Here we go.
All right. So Elliott Shore Parks from WIP, 94 WIP. So numbers today for Jalen Hurts. Are we ready?
Oh, geez.
12 for 15, 4 touchdowns, 1 interception from Jalen. See, I'm keeping you guys up to speed on everything that's going on, man. Isn't it a beautiful thing in shorts?
Well, of course. Just listening to AJ Brown, and he broke down. He just talking after practice how he came to the aid of his quarterback, and went through saying that what did he say? The untruths. I forget what he calls it. Just Derek Gunn's report was unfounded information.
Oh, did he mention my name?
It was a lot. No, he didn't mention your name, but
I
forget how he really said it, but he's like, people just saying stuff. This is just camps, and if stuff does happen, that's what is supposed to happen in practice as opposed to happen in the game.
Exactly.
And he was like, they're going to be working on stuff. They're going to see what works, what doesn't work. And there'll be times there's going to be some bad plays when they're trying new stuff.
Exactly.
That happens all the time.
That's why people just crack me up.
Part of the quote was he relayed what you said, Gunner, to anyway, it's Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts after teammate AJ Brown told him about the summer report that he struggled in OTAs. Quote, must have been a slow day. In other words, making things up, but whatever.
That's okay. You know what? That's what they're supposed to do. He's supposed to cover for his boy, right? Take care of his boy. That's his moneymaker. That's who's going to get him the ball. That's okay. Mm-hmm. I have no problem with that. You're supposed to stick up for your teammate. I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Yeah. I'm gonna go to war for you guys all the time.
That's why I love social media, man. People know more than everybody else. People lose their minds on social media, man. I love social media. I sit back and wait till the people come out and they attack certain things. They don't know what they're talking about. They attack, and then they go back and they wait for somebody else. They move on to something else. It'll be me one day. It'll be somebody else the next day. Elliott Shore Parks the next day. Somebody else the next day. That's all right. Do what you got to do.
There you go. There you go. I'm with you.
Do what you got to do. Whatever makes you happy, do what you got to do.
All right. So the over-under on wins this year, and we talked about this with Brad Feinberg the other day, Derek, who Brad was, what a fun guest he was to kind of go through things. So we're looking forward to having him on, a little later as well. But the over-under on wins is 9.5. That moved a full game. It was 8.5 earlier in the season. It's 9.5 now, which is a major leap to go a full game, by the way.
Yes, it is.
Then that's after all the moves the Eagles made, the draft night, and all that stuff.
Right.
Anyway, but I thought Ruben Frank from NBC Sports Philadelphia had a really interesting story today. Just in regards, not so much getting into the nuts and bolts with gambling and all that, but basically when the Eagles are expected to win 10 games over I think he took it back like about 20 years. He took it back to like Andy and then, kind of moving forward. But the only time that they've done it, when they were expected, or the last time that they did it, when they were expected to win 10 games was 2004. That's a long time ago, man. That's that was Super Bowl 39 team that lost to the Patriots. Yes. So how does that bode for this year at 9.5 wins? If you think they're in a 10 or 11 win team, like I personally don't get too caught up in that, but it's there, man. It's there.
Pretty good. I mean, look at the dynamics of how the offense is running. They had a star receiver come in T.O. and kind of house things, So we have A.J. Brown. Hopefully he comes in and house things like they did, back then.
Yeah, good point.
Defensively, I don't know if we're close to. Well, no, I know we're not close to that because we have a Hall of Famer back there at safety.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to clarify that one.
Yeah, it's not even close to that.
What, Anthony Harris is not on the same level as Brian Dawkins? Come on, guys. What are we doing here?
Tart's not that guy. No, I'm just saying, it's I'm just on the offensive side of the ball. I like the similarities. An all-purpose back. Hopefully we get an all-purpose back in Sanders. But had B West back there. That offensive line was amazing. Two tackles that potentially could be Pro Bowlers. I mean, not Pro Bowlers, but Hall of Famers. Really, really, really good team back then. Really good team.
Yeah, I think the only difference, Barrett, is that team had established itself for a bunch of years, and they were on the build, that team.
Yeah, exactly.
This team kind of caught people by surprise last year, but they've had so many moves in the offseason that they're a vastly different team than what they were last year.
Absolutely.
I mean, big time. And the other thing back then, for the most part, the NFC East stunk. I mean, you were really beating up. Dallas was on this was the down part of like Troy Aikman, and those guys were moving on. Those Giants teams had their moments, certainly, as after they drafted Eli, but they had the one run when they went to the Super Bowl. But that little time in between, they were down a little bit, and Washington was kind of up and down. I think that helped that team back then, but more focused on today. Are we kind of devaluing the NFC East more than we should? In other words,
I would say yes.
A Cowboys team that won, double-digit games last year. They did lose Amari Cooper, mind you, but still pretty talented. Washington, a lot of this is going to ride on Wentz. I know that, but still, it's a team with some talent, and I think a pretty good coach in Rivera. And the Giants we know this, they're not going to be as bad as they were last year. And Brian Dable is in my opinion, going to be a far superior coach to Joe Judge. And I think they had a good draft too. Yeah,
we think what I'm saying. Everybody's on Dayball because what he did with Allen.
Josh Allen, yeah.
You don't think you can't just think that it's just our foregone conclusion that he'll be able to go in and help Jones the same way he did. You're talking about two drastically different mindsets.
Let me be clear about it. I don't buy Daniel Jones at all. I don't. I'm not a fan.
And Dable, we don't know what he can do really. You know what I'm saying? He's untested. We don't know how he approaches things, But they had the same talent last year. Although they have, some horses, they got the big tackle from Alabama. They got the defensive end from Oregon. They're drastically different in those two areas. But they let, their tight end go. They let some talent out the building that I wouldn't necessarily say helped them.
Ingram,
like
right?
Yes. They let Ingram go.
Rudolph was there last year. He's with Tampa now.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Bradbury's
gone.
Yeah.
Those guys, you say you want to say about Rudolph. Rudolph is still a really good tight end. So that's why,
he'll do well in Tampa. He'll do
very, very well in Tampa. It's like Julio Jones will do well in Tampa.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to get into that. Yeah. Later. Here's the other, what the interesting thing is when we think about Dable, not to do too much Giants here, but when we think about Dable, we think, is he going to be able to fix Daniel Jones, whatever term you want to use? How about can he re-unleash or re-unlock Saquon Barkley?
Yes.
That one's going to be fascinating too.
Well, you're talking about a top five back. He would he go number 4 in the draft?
Yeah.
Yes.
So we're talking about a back that's when I saw him. I remember I did a game for Penn State, and I thought that kid was magical, man. His first year, he looked like he was magical.
Mm-hmm.
So can they unlock that? I mean, I don't see how that leaves a back so fast because once they go downhill, man, they go down a hill like a banshee, man.
He said
he was coming off an ACL injury. Okay.
Yeah.
And it took him more than half the season just to get back in a groove.
Right.
And considering the deficiencies they had along the offensive line, a lot of the criticism towards him was he was trying to bounce too much too outside instead of hitting it up in the hole between the tackles. He was trying to bounce it outside.
So good.
Yeah, exactly. Zeke, plants his foot in the dirt, turns up and goes,
Yep.
and because Zeke is such a big body, he's one of those bangers. You're not going to just bring him down with the first tackle. Zeke, when you hit him, he's going to pick up an extra 2 or 3 yards. Saquon would try to dip it to the outside, and all of a sudden the coverage converged on him. He had nowhere to go, and he couldn't turn it back because it was no daylight. Now, I will say this. I've always said this. Sometimes there are position coaches that can make the transition to a head coach adequately, but there are a lot of times position coaches who go to head coach, it's quickly understood that you're better off as a coordinator or position coach. You're not head coaching material.
Wade Phillips.
Okay.
Child,
you can put a bunch of names in that category.
Yeah.
I will say this about Daboll, and I've said this to Rob, and I've said this, Bear, to believe, when you were on the show 6-7 months ago.
Wow.
There it is. There it is.
Look, the one thing about Daboll is he has a track record of working with young quarterbacks, okay, and improving young quarterbacks, number one. Number two, he will have a creative type offense, a more creative misdirection, whatever the case may be. Will that equate to a better Daniel Jones, a better Giants offense? I don't know. I think they have 4 pretty good receivers in that arsenal.
You got 4 damn good receivers.
If you had a better quarterback throwing those 4 guys the ball, that team would be dangerous, and those guys would be talked about as some of the top 15 wide receivers in the game today. But because it's Daniel Jones, who has been developed under a different quarterback and a different head coach and a different offensive coordinator, it hasn't translated to become such. But people just want to overlook the Giants and discount the Giants. Giants are going to give some teams some problems, Yeah,
I just don't think they're I just don't think they'll be as. And think about it. That Eagles, what was it, the second game was hideous.
They lost 13-7.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Giants won that game. It was nasty.
And the Cowboys lose Amari Cooper. That's real. There's definitely age and attrition on that offensive line. That's real. But
they lost 2/5 of it, man. And I don't know if they can recover from it, man. That's people not talking. Even I think that's more damning than even losing Amari Cooper. And plus, Tyron Smith is still old as Methuselah, man. He's old, man.
And they talk about how Dallas, they lost Lyle Collins. They released him. Now, if you release a player supposed to be that good, because he was a highly touted offensive lineman coming out of college. Sure. You release him that soon.
He got in trouble, though. That's why he stepped so far down.
Okay, but
he got set up.
He did.
Yeah.
But if that is the case, why did Dallas release him in his prime? Okay.
No, listen, I hear you. Look, and there's always the Mike McCarthy factor. Okay. I'm sorry. In a big spot, I feel like he's going to do something to screw them up, man.
Run a quick QB draw.
Ugh.
15 seconds left in the game.
So there's that, and then there's Washington, right? And Washington's a team that has talent, in certain areas for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I think the receiving core is going to be good. I like their running back. I like their defensive line. There's other areas they're not as great, and
linebacker.
Yes, in a big way, Barrett linebacker.
Yeah.
But it really, it comes down to what is Carson Wentz going to be here, and is he going to be the guy who looked pretty good early in the year in Indianapolis, or the guy that we saw against Jacksonville that, just fell apart? I don't know. But look, from a scheduling standpoint, if you look at it, from the Eagles, they got very lucky again with a pretty fortunate schedule. And it's been 2 straight years that they've had that. So, Xander, do we have that, the Eagles schedule? If we could, let's take a look at that. So, I think, I think they're 4.5-point favorites week 1 against Detroit. So, you go out of the chute, you go Detroit there. Will not be an easy one, guys. But let's sort of run through this and see where we come up from a win-loss standpoint. I guess we don't have it. So you're at Detroit to start, where the Eagles are the favorites. Minnesota at home. Washington there. Jacksonville here. At Arizona, Dallas here, bye week. Let's take the first 6 games. Let's take it in those chunks, basically. So Detroit, are we all on the same page? It's a win, but this is not a breeze by any stretch.
I would say on the surface, it's a win, but we also should understand that the first week of the NFL season is the craziest week of the year. That's when all this crazy stuff happens. Because teams are still out there feeling themselves, trying to find their way, especially the teams that don't play their regulars in a preseason. Maybe takes them a little bit longer to get jump started. That is probably the most unpredictable week of an NFL schedule is that first week. Now, I expect the Eagles, based on talent alone, to handle Detroit. But I guarantee you, if I'm Detroit's coaching staff, I am yelling in these guys' ear every day. Remember what happened last year against the Eagles. You remember how much we got embarrassed last year by the Eagles.
Yep.
And, so first game, they're going to be healthier. They weren't healthy back then. They're playing this one at home. It's their season opener at home. They're trying to change their image. Obviously, their mindset is to win more than 3 games that they won last year. What were they, 3-13-1?
Yeah.
Win more than 3 games. So they're going to come out swinging and give it their best shot. So that's what I say. I expect that to be a very competitive game just based on that alone.
I think it's one of those games, Barrett, where it's like a field goal kind of game. The Eagles are winning and they get a late touchdown where it may look like it wasn't as close as it really was. Like, I think it's going to be a very competitive game.
That's absolutely what it is, man. Just from, just the matchup of him being on a team he used to play against, him away from a team he used to play against, who started his career out. It's going to be tough for him, man. It's going to be tough for him.
All right, let's throw that schedule up there, Xander. Yeah, so, all right, so you just work your way down here. So Detroit, or work your way across, I'm sorry. Detroit, and then Minnesota. Again, the Eagles will likely be favorites, especially if they win that first game against Detroit. In that, we could dig into you get all the lines right now, but I'm talking about in time. That's not going to be an easy one, man.
No,
that is not going to be an easy one week 2.
No, because that's when those corners are really going to get tested.
Yep.
You got Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson coming to town. That's going to be a good matchup. Slay and Bradbury against those 2 receivers, and they've both been 1,000-yard receivers before. And, Kirk Cousins is a good regular season quarterback. His resume has shown that. And I guarantee you, they're going to bomb them away. They're going to take their deep shots against the secondary unless this Eagles defensive front can get consistent pressure on Cousins and keep him from going downfield. It's going to be a good matchup to see how this Eagles team handles that Minnesota team coming in here on a Monday night.
Well, first off, they got to make sure that they stop Dalvin Cook to start the game.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Dalvin Cook's wearing number 4 now. So if you're watching, I'm just telling you that because you're watching the game, you're like, who's that dude wearing 4? That's what he's wearing. That was his old college number. Anyway.
Sorry, and Dalvin Cook is known to be hurt halfway through a season every year.
That's true.
So,
but he's always gangbusters going into a season.
Oh yes.
Yeah, you're getting him early, which is more dangerous.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he can't hurt you.
You're right. And I think they're very, very comfortable now with Irv Smith making that transition and being the number 1 tight end for him.
Mm-hmm.
So, that offense is going to be clicking, man. They've got their offensive line, got those issues kind of settled now. They're going to go into this season with guys that are, were now put themselves in position. They're solid now. Christian Darrisaw was a real good draft pick for him year before last in the first round. Really good offensive tackle. So I truly think that this team is going to be a lot better than what people give them credit for. But even still, the first game, we kind of bypassed Detroit, man. You can't really bypass Detroit because they got a lot going on over there. Their head coach got this team believing. And the way they lost last year really, really hurt them, you know what I'm saying? So they got that boy, Jameson Williams. I thought he was the best receiver in the league in the draft last year. They got him, picked him up number 1, and evidently, he's going to be all right for the season.
I was going to say, do we know if he's going to be ready? That's the only question.
I think he's. I don't know what NFI stands for, but he's. I don't know what you would what would you say that was, but I thought he was ready to rock and roll. Back when they after the draft, going into those little camps, I thought he was doing well then, but evidently, I don't know what that means.
Well, I mean, I get you. I get your point. No question.
But you got a really good receiver in him, and then everywhere else. They got DeAndre Smith, local kid, really good running back. The Eagles held him defensively last year, but he's still very productive.
He's good, Barry. He's got to stay on the field. He's had some injuries, but he's really good. Yeah.
Aiden Hutchinson,
Yep.
He's the number 2 guy drafted.
He's going to be a handful. He's going to be a
DeAndre Swift.
Yep. So, this offensive line looks pretty good too. They got Sewell from the first round 2 years ago. Tyler Decker, first rounder from back in the day. He's looking like he's back being who he needs to be. So they're gonna be cool. You know, Big V starts at right guard for him.
Yeah.
You know, so I just want to see, you know, how they're gonna go out and really fare against the team they should win, but they can't afford to look past them.
Let's just to pick it up a little bit. Let's go through the first 6 games here. All right. So that's because the bye comes up 7.
Yeah.
Detroit, Minnesota, Washington, Jacksonville, Arizona, Dallas. What's the record after the first 6 games, Derek Gunn?
Minimum 4-2. Minimum. Very minimum 4-2.
All right, Barrett.
I'm going 5-1.
Yeah, it could be that. I agree with that also. But at the very minimum, this team, there should be no excuse for this team not being at least 4-2 after the first 6.
Yeah,
and, you know,
minimum.
Who would you guys say that one loss? Who would you say the one loss?
I Arizona, even though I think they're going to have a down year, I think that might be a challenge out there.
Yeah.
I think they'll beat them.
Okay.
I think Dallas is going to be interesting.
Dallas, they need to start establishing themselves against the Cowboys. I actually think the Eagles win that one.
I'll do also.
Yeah, that's a Sunday night game.
I don't know why Week 3 against Washington feels.
There it is,
there.
There it is.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz first time playing against his old team,
and that all hell will break loose if he's well and
oh my goodness.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
it's going to break loose if they lose the season opener to Detroit.
Yeah, it'll break. Look, all hell breaks loose anytime they lose a game, man.
Yeah. Fire everybody. Fire everybody.
I don't think they'll.
I hear you.
I think that'll be their one and only loss.
All right, I'm with. I think it's a 4. I think it's a 5-1 start. I do. Pittsburgh, I think, is a win. I think it's going to be ugly because the defense is so good for Pittsburgh, but I don't think I don't like their quarterbacks.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't like Houston at all. I think that's a win.
Mm-hmm.
Washington, that's the one that's
at home.
That's the home game, right?
That's the payback game. They're going to beat
they'll win that.
Out of them. Yeah.
I don't have a good feeling about the game at the Colts.
I don't either.
About the next 2 games.
Yeah, I don't. I'm with you. Look, Rodgers takes them apart most of the time, and I don't care that Devontae Adams isn't there. It's still Aaron Rodgers. Right. By the way, Barrett, did you see his arrival yesterday?
Yeah,
his Con Air
looking like Fabio.
Yeah, you should have done that game day, Barrett, with your white tank top and your jeans and your cowboy boots. Anyway, that's gonna be a tough one, guys. And then Tennessee. That's a 50-50 kind of game, depending on how they're playing.
I think so also.
So, and then you have the Giants. I feel good about that. Even though it's there.
Yeah, see, I'm not gonna say smash against the Giants. I'm not gonna go that far.
NFC's always ugly, right?
I think they should win that game.
They're gonna smash.
I don't know, man. I don't know. There's something about the Giants. I don't know what it is, but I don't know. I think they're gonna give them a dogfight.
That's fair. I think the game at Dallas on Christmas Eve is a really tough spot. That's the third of 3 straight back road games. Tough one.
Very tough.
New Orleans, this is a really tough one to handicap because I don't know what Winston's going to look like at that point. I don't know how they adjust to Dennis Allen as the head coach. I think they're really dangerous, but it's not a lock. That it's not Drew Brees and Sean Payton. I don't know what that game is going to be, but it's home at least.
If Jameis Winston comes out of the gate like he did last year before he got hurt, we had 14 touchdown passes and only 3 interceptions. That's going to put the Saints in a whole nother conversation in terms of being a legit contender
100%.
Because they have everything else. By the time they see the Saints, Alvin Kamara should be out of his suspension. Whatever his suspension is, he should be out of that. And that's going to be an interesting game. That looks like one of those games that could be moved to a primetime slot.
I agree with you.
It's slated for 1:00 now, and it's on New Year's Day. I can see that game possibly being moved.
Just to wrap it up here. I think they're very well. This should be an 11-5 team or 11-6 team. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Very well should be an 11-6 team.
This game is going to be moved. I mean,
you're going to see I think New Orleans. I think the Giants game. Cowboys won't. That game's locked in. That's going to be huge.
That's locked in tonight.
Those last 2, I think, will be moved.
I can see week 17 being moved.
Mm-hmm.
I can also see week 11 being moved. Or not week 11. Week 11. Yep, week 11 being moved.
I forget, when do they start flexing out? Is it that early?
Yes, I think it's week 11. I think the start is on week 11.
Oh, is it?
Start flexing week 11.
Yeah, that could happen. You're right. When week 13 could happen with Tennessee.
Yep.
That can be flexed out of a 1. Look, I love the 1 o'clocks. I'm hoping they don't get flexed out. But
bro, you have no idea. It helps me out, man, when I'm doing my college football. Those late night games.
Oh, so you like the later ones?
Yeah, so I can get back.
I'm on the opposite page of that, man. Give me the ones.
I hate it because that night, man. It's
that's
tough
good, Xander. Thank you, brother.
I don't get off work. You know what I'm saying? Doing my post game show until 2 hours, after the game's over with. So I might get to the house 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Tell me about it. I hear
you. Then I'm listening to you.
If you're home at 2, I'll be home at 4.
Right.
So I'm feeling you there, but I like I'm the old man who likes the 1 o'clock.
D-Gun got a short and sweet 2 hours. Bam, he's done.
Yeah. So post game again, just a reminder: Derek Gunn, okay, Mike Missinelli, Seth Joyner, Devin Caney, right here on JAKIB Sports.
We're gonna rock. We're gonna rock it.
It's gonna be on fire. But it's gonna be fun, man. Look, I love the fact that we're actually in the freaking season now. It feels like, I know some people look at it like, oh my God, they're in shorts. I just love the fact that they're on the field playing.
Bro, I got goosebumps already.
Me too.
I went outside this morning, the mailman sitting there, hey, I'm like, dude, wait, I understand the season's about to start. Let's go, baby.
I'll give you how passionate this city is, right? I lost a good friend of mine last week, a great guy, Johnny Bastion. Was a unbelievable guy. Unfortunately, passed away in his sleep. So, out of nowhere. Anyway, but I'm at his viewing last night, and it was there was a lot of people there to pay tribute to him, which spoke to the kind of person he was. Anyway, I'm in a really long line that wrapped outside of the funeral home. Okay, this is how long this line was. I'm standing in line. I must have had 8 people, and they weren't being disrespectful to what we were there for, but they're like, dude, what do you think, man? Like, what are we looking at here? 10, 11 wins? Like, what's up with Hurts? And, it's just, that's Philadelphia fans, man. They love it. They can never get enough.
I'll do you one better. Since this week started, every time I go over the bridge, they stop me every time they talk to me for about, it's at least 2 minutes.
At the tolls, they're getting
people behind me be so pissed off, man. So pissed off, man. I'm like, I'm trying to leave, and dude trying to fist bump me and all that. In the car, I'm trying to drive, trying to fist bump me. I'm like, yo.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, man. Everywhere I go, man. Everywhere I go, it's like, oh, we're talking nothing but Eagles all around. Eagles.
But just think about, there are certain towns where, especially like transplant kind of towns, where they just don't care. I mean, it's just kind of, oh, they're playing Sunday. Oh, okay, cool. Like, can you imagine? I can't imagine living in that atmosphere where
it's like that. Care. When I played in Detroit, it was like that. Oh, the only games they think about is Christmas and Thanksgiving, because those 2 games they always play on Christmas and Thanksgiving. Those are the real games that they look forward to, especially the Thanksgiving game. Yeah, everywhere else I've been, the Giants. It's not the same passion that down the turnpike here in Philadelphia. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, you're lucky you're not covering Houston. Can you imagine being that fan base? They have nothing to look forward to. Training camp, preseason, regular season. They have nothing to look forward to.
That's the other thing. It's a bummer. When your team stinks, it is such a bummer going into the season. It really is, man.
Yeah, we experienced that. Remember we first had breakfast on Broad and we had to go out there and talk about the Eagles?
God almighty.
Nothing to look forward to. I remember the best thing we had to look forward to was having Sam Bradford.
Sammy Sleeves. Yeah, Sleeves was what we were looking forward to. And what craziness Chip would say that day.
Right, exactly.
I know. Yeah.
He lied because you go like this.
You knew it. That was his tell. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I think he's playing really well. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, sure. Okay.
We have a great team.
They're going to be awesome this year. All right, so we come back, guys. Go ahead, Gunnar. Do you want to add?
Yeah, I was going to say my favorite Chip Kelly line is, "We're from Philly. We fight." I'll never forget that line when he said that. Everybody gravitated towards that man, and he was a Pied Piper at that moment of his tenure in Philadelphia when he said that.
Yeah. And then he'd reference some obscure painter. Remember he used to do stuff like that. Okay, you're
smarter
than everybody else, Chip. We got you.
Who did he say? Yeah,
I know. All right, so we come back. We're going to look at Jalen Hurts here, guys, and we're going to dig into his numbers last year and look at what they need to be this year for him to be successful, for the team to be successful. A lot on the line for him, potentially with a contract looming after this season. A lot to get into with the quarterback of the Eagles, Jalen Hurts. We'll do that when we get back. Barrett Brooks, Derek Gunn, Rob Ellis, Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. All right, let's talk about pro action Restoration, because Pro Action Restoration can be there to bail you out. Whether it's a fire, whether it is water damage, whether it's smoke or mold, whatever the case may be, they can handle it. And if you're not really sure, you just try and call them anyway. They will consult you and let you know, what you need and whether they can do it or not. They're on call 24 hours, 7 days a week to assist you. I've gone through it on a personal level, and I called them on a Saturday. They were right over. They got it done. It was clean. It was professional, and it was reasonably priced. Every box was checked. They're licensed, bonded, fully insured. They've been serving the tri-state area for more than 2 decades. They will also work in conjunction with your insurance company. Again, water, fire, smoke, mold remediation, you name it, they can handle it. Give them a call, 610-623-3760, 610-623-3760, or online at proactionrestoration.com. That's proactionrestoration.com.